What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We're live, and we're alive. It's the Acolyte. That's one of those soft rhymes there. I made it work. Michael B. joining us. Andy Mason joining us. And I am, of course, Eddie Roman. The nameplates aren't there, so I had to do it, that extra fancy schmancy way. Acolyte episode 3 dropped this week. Like I said in the subtitle, I haven't checked. I'm sure everybody loved it. Very excited to talk about it with you guys. Can't wait to get into it, man. So let's dive in. This is going to be a lot of fun. You know how we do it here. Michael B gives us a synopsis. Well, actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry. Back up. I know how we do it here. Let me tell you.
What happened to our general ethereal thoughts?
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. You're right. You're better than me. You got it locked in. I forgot the general thoughts. And I'm ready. Let's do it. General thoughts first, and then we're going to get into the spoiler section. And then Michael's going to give us his synopsis, and we're going to talk about whatever we want to. And then we're going to clean up and say whatever we need to at the end. God knows there's going to be stuff we need to talk about because this was a big one. There's a lot happened. So spoiler-free thoughts will go around the room. I'll start with you, Michael B. What you got? Spoiler-free.
Is good Star Wars. Yeah, I don't have too much, honestly. It's interesting. It's a flashback episode. We get to see the Jedi, learn more about the Jedi in a very interesting canon way for this time period. We learn about yet another sect of Force users out there. We get some background on people going on. I don't want to spoil anything if we're not doing a spoiler thing. So yeah, otherwise it's interesting. It's intriguing. And again, I think similar thoughts as last time where it could be great. It could be terrible. At this point, it's really hard to tell. We're just going to have to see how it pans out.
100%. Yeah, it's one of those where it's like we're 3 episodes into an 8-episode mystery, and they said there was going to be things that we'd want to talk about, and fair enough, there sure are. But yeah, it's hard to know where all this stuff is going. Andy, what are you thinking? Welcome. What are your spoiler-free thoughts on this bad bear?
Okay, hello. And I kind of will echo pretty much everything Michael said, with the added on that I'm already really enjoying myself and really enjoying this show. There was a lot in this episode that felt catered to my interests, and I definitely appreciated that. Yeah,
What are those
I loved it.
interests?
Well, I like women, and I like witches, and I like stuff.
There's a
Star
lot of
Wars
stuff. There was a lot of women, and there was a lot of witches. So yeah, absolutely.
Is that a spoiler? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's females
Little
in the
bit.
episode. Oh man,
Females,
no,
this isn't my Star Wars. There's women in this. It's not my Star Wars. There's more than one female character.
I'm gonna review bomb IMDb and then post about it like it matters.
I mean, you read it apparently.
I still love you, buddy, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are. Okay. All right, yeah, my spoiler-free thoughts are I really like this one. I'm all in at this point. I'm not ready to say that this is, Andor level. I don't think that it's earned that. That's a high bar to clear. But I will say, potential-wise, it's got the most potential since Andor. I remember I haven't felt this good on an episode 3 of a show since episode 3 of Andor. That's what I would say. Yeah, because Kenobi was already like, I was like, I think this might suck. Book of Boba Fett was like, I don't know, let's see. Mandalorian, I was like, this is interesting. You know what I mean? But like, there weren't really that many other shows that hit like this one so far. So it's definitely
Ahsoka
got me.
had a lot. We knew Thrawn was coming in Ahsoka. I feel like if we're just talking about potential, Ahsoka had a lot of potential.
Ahsoka's up there too.
It had a lot of potential. That doesn't mean it lived up to it, but it had potential.
I agree. That's fair.
I think even to see the potential in episode 3 with Ahsoka, we kind of had to have our rose-colored lenses on. I definitely did hard.
I really liked Balin and Shin. I thought there was a lot
Yeah,
there.
they were cool.
It could have been really cool. Like, not
Balin
that it
and
wasn't,
Shin.
but there was a lot there that could have been really, really cool.
But the
100%.
fake out
I am the UPS man in chat says it's better than Ahsoka, so that
I am
is
the
that.
UPS man? I am the UPS man.
Net
Welcome.
ratioed internet. We say it's better.
I'm the UPS man. Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. I love you, brother. Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, so now we'll go into everyone's new favorite section, the spoiler section. All right, let's go. Our friends in the AI department, we're ready to rock. No! I hit the wrong button.
I think we need the Star Destroyer klaxon, actually. Oh,
It's
there
there.
It's
Yeah.
there. Oh, no. Why does it keep doing
Because
seizure warning, not a spoiler warning?
Oh God, yeah. Sorry, Lauren's not here to hear that.
Oh no.
Are you in the chat, Lauren? God. Anyway, all right. Spoiler time. Let's dive in. Let's start with the synopsis. Actually, you know what? No, I want everyone to go around and say what's the one thing, spoiler wise, that just hit you right across the jaw and was just like, we gotta talk about that. Anything? Who's got it? Who's got something? Michael, you got anything?
I mean, the whole
Just
whole sort of interaction with the Jedi and the talking to them about the children and we're not abducting the children, but we want your consent, but we don't. We'll take the kids.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was weird.
That's all we're going to talk about. Well, let's actually. I'm sorry. We're gonna spend some time on that one.
Yeah,
like
we can
100%.
We
We need to.
keep...
Let's do it. Let's do it later. Because that's gonna be the thing we talk about at the end for sure. Because there's a lot of meat on that bone. Andy, what you got? You raise your finger.
How'd they make them babies?
Right. Yeah. You're right. That's way actually more
made.
important.
Where's the man?
It was a miracle, or was it? And why don't they have horns? Because I saw a lot of people being like, "Yo, so like I get this whole thing, force making babies. That's actually not that shocking or new, but like, why ain't she got horns?" Because
maybe they used in utero vertification.
They must have, but she was just a surrogate, and that's it. So that's why she's only mom, not mama.
That's what I was going to say. They used her as a segregate. That's what they did. Yep, in vertification, used her as a segregate. That's what they did. Yep.
All right.
And that's why her babies ain't come out no prickly. That's why they ain't do it.
That's gotta hurt, So I'm
just saying.
They're not born with them horns.
Yeah, it's
what's funny? That is actually, there is an episode of Star Trek where that happens, where there's a species, they have 3 little horns on their forehead, and I'm pretty sure they do talk about that, about like for like mixed species, where if you breed with the species, like really bad problems for mom with the babies coming out with little horns on their forehead. And I think not necessarily due to that situation, they have to beam the babies out of the womb. And then everybody, I remember my mom watching it, like, wait a minute, if that's an option, why don't they do that every time? Like, why bother with the rest of it? Just pop those babies out of there every time. Come on.
I feel like the horns have to develop like the skull does, like if the
little
skull
soft and rubbery
can
first.
develop later. Yeah, just like little nubbies, and then they grow out to calcify.
I feel
Have
like
we spent enough time on this? What do you think?
I had comments.
Please.
Andy, bring us in.
I think that old sci-fi has a ton of weird fetish stuff that's in there for no reason whatsoever.
What?
Wait.
No.
Are you referring to when I said Star Trek, that was old fetish stuff? Because this is from the 1999. It's not really that old.
Okay,
you gotta remember, Michael, Andy's considerably younger than us, like
I'm sorry.
she's like basically Gen Alpha, you know what I mean?
Like when vintage cars were being made and stuff.
Yeah, she's out here talking about vintage shows like How I Met Your Mother.
Yikes. She's not wrong. 1999, your vehicle's an antique.
I know. No, I was just saying that reminds me of stuff. Like if I read up on old D&D lore too, with like just some of the weird stuff.
Those guys were pervs. So
next, you're gonna tell me that my childhood nostalgia for Nickelodeon is destined to be ruined.
Now that's the power of Pine Sol, baby, says Simple and Sweet.
I know who that is. That's Lauren.
That's the power of
She might have
pasta.
missed your. She might have missed your joke, unless that's what that was in reference to. Either way, the UPS man is pumped for spoilers, so let's give it to him. We've already talked about the segregate.
Prickly.
Oh gosh, I'm having too much fun. That would have been a good TikTok if I still had the interest in editing TikToks. All right, Michael, it's your time to shine. You spent your hard-earned
like
minutes.
5 whole minutes writing this. 5 of your
I tell you
minutes,
what,
actually.
but we appreciate it. We sure do. So take the floor, synopsize us, please.
All right. So this episode is called Destiny, I think, right? That's what it's called. Episode 3, Destiny. I didn't write that in the synopsis. Whoops. Already failed. All right. So we start with a 16-year flashback.
We don't talk
so
about Destiny on this stream.
We don't talk about Destiny. Yeah, we never do. So they're on the planet Brendok, where we find Verosha chilling under a tree of some bugs, because Osha and Oshi, and now her real name's Verosha, which is good, because honestly, the whole Osha thing, I thought somebody would have focus tested that, because I can't wait for the jokes and the memes. There's not enough about OSHA violations.
That's all
anyway,
I could think of.
Yeah, that's all I think of too. So we got Verosha and we got Mayho, and they picked that name too. So she shows up, and
later on she becomes Spicy Mayho.
Well, yeah. I mean, not later on. She immediately does not pass the vibe check, because she's trying to torture a butterfly. So, like, if you wanted to know if she's the good one or the bad one, she's the butterfly killer. So there's that.
I was
so they're chilling
already. I was unfortunately already, when watching, getting confused who was who. Yeah, that was the only time.
Different. I thought that, I don't know if these are actually twins, like actresses, but I thought that they physically look different.
They're at minimum sisters.
Yeah.
I locked in later, but this first scene, I was like, wait.
Well, okay, so then they do this whole thing in their kind of very CGI environment that probably bothered some people, but whatever. And then they do their super long...
I'm sorry, hold on. Andi locked in when they put a freaking rubber stamp on one of them. She was like, oh, now I get it.
Oh, there it
is. You know what? That does make sense, because I was wondering, I'm like, this was a really fast ceremony. They could have done it. We were like, hey, Jedi, hold 1 sec. Good to go. All right, here you go. Anyway,
Lauren, you're right. There
we're
are
getting
a lot
sidetracked, because they spent like they look nothing alike. Yeah,
right.
I kind of thought they didn't look similar, but
I just needed a second. Okay.
All right. So they did their really long sister secret handshake thing again, which we just saw like 2 episodes ago. My wife and I were like, wow, this is going on, isn't it? Yeah. Meanwhile, Soul is just like creeping, Master Soul or Jedi Soul. He's like creeping on him in the background, and you guys think he's the good guy, so he's just creeping. So they go back to we see Mother Corel, who's their surrogate. What'd you call him?
Segregate.
Segregate. Yep. Mother, female Zabrak, which is cool to see live action female Zabrak. Everyone's cool with that.
Absolutely.
I thought she looked good.
Take that. Everybody who thought that Asajj was the female Night Sisters are female Zabrak, because there is a whole thing. I've been on that soapbox before. Thank you, StarWars.com, for making that confusing. So anyway, the girls go back with Mother Corel, not Mama Corel. She's just Mother. They go back to Vader's castle, and they try to get some spice creams, which I said explains the whole fever dream of an episode, because spice cream, really? They're feeding kids spice cream? What is that? I don't want to know. But
that's something
to the castle look like Vader Castle.
I didn't. I thought a little bit. I thought
it was on a waterfall instead of lava waterfall. But anyway,
come on, they look nothing alike.
I thought it was funny. Okay, we got to move on.
No, I get it. Sorry, I thought you just misspoke. I didn't get it was a joke. I'm sorry. I'll do better. That was on me.
Okay, so the moms discuss the Jedi are on the planet, and they imply at this point that it would be bad if they saw the girls, because they're not normal. We also sort of start picking up that there probably aren't any other kids. In fact, I think they even mentioned that they're the only kids on the planet or around. So that's interesting. Where was I? Okay, so Mother Anasaya, is that what they call her? Anasaya?
Anasaya, yeah.
Mother Anise, Star Anise Seed.
The kids have spice.
Has spice, yeah, right? Spice cream, man. What is that? So they kind of flash forward to they're doing a demo of their version of the Force, which I was actually really hyped for because they first start talking about how we don't use the Force, which is very similar to High Republic, other High Republic or pre-High Republic sort of Force ideologies. But then she goes and uses the Force, so I'm confused. She's like, we don't use the Force.
Almost like cult leaders don't stick to their rules.
Right. Well, that's fair. That didn't work out in the High Republic stuff either. But yeah, so she says, they don't use the Force. They just pull on the thread. And that's different because Obi-Wan won't yell at them for pulling on the thread to eat fruit like he would yell at Anakin for using the Force to eat fruit, because they do that. She also mentions that the thread is tied to one's destiny. And if you pull on the thread, you change destiny, and that's a thing.
That was very Path of the Open Hand for sure. That was it was. Because I remember in that book they were like, if you feed this starving child, then they're gonna grow up to murder others or something.
Or like if you use the Force to like stop a building from falling here, you're taking away from the Force that's holding the fabric of the universe together somewhere else, and so a building falls on somebody else. Which is, it's a fascinating theory about how
it's a great excuse to not stop buildings from falling.
It is.
I'll tell you that.
It is really interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed you.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So then they do this whole Force tug of war thing, and May gets a sore back from carrying that whole thing because Osha's doing absolutely nothing. The girls, they go back to their room and they talk about the whole Ascension thing and how May is hyped for it and Osha's not. There's a lot of scenes where they're like back in the room or they're over here and they're talking about things and kind of giving us some exposition in a decent way. It's not too bad. So then they go to the Ascension. The Jedi trials happen. And then like right after May gets the tattoo, or they're like pulling threads down. It actually looked really
cool. Power of one.
Thread out of the sky.
The power of two.
Yeah.
The power of many.
I just skipped over all that. The Jedi break in, literally like slice in, like I don't even know if we've mentioned slicing by name in Star Wars live action before.
Maybe they use a lightsaber.
Yeah, but they like straight up, they slice the elevator. They're on their way up. So they're like hiding the kids, and then the Jedi pop in and they ask about the kids. And then through their conversation, they sort of imply that it's illegal to train children in using the Force. And then they're like, well, we're not in the Republic. And the Jedi were like, didn't ask. So then the Wookiee kind of notices there's kids there. And after they're like real afraid of the kids showing up, they just kind of let the kids walk out. They're like, all right, well, we tried to hide, but darn it. They figured us out. They saw the children standing right there.
Enemies of the state, are you not?
Right. So there's this really interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to mention, like, by this point, like, I loved the writing for the girls. I loved their constant like hand slapping, and I really enjoyed their acting.
Time out, man. My wife and I were like, these girls don't need trials, they need detention. Like, these girls are brats.
I swear, I thought you were gonna say execution. I was like, I was ready. They don't need trials, they need execution.
Electric chair.
Sorry, no.
No,
they need time. They need to be grounded. These girls. Where is their father? No.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you use segregacy. You know what I mean? That's what happens.
Right.
I'll tell you what. But I'll interrupt real quick because Travis dropped by, and Travis asked how it's going. It's going quite well, thank you. And he said this is his favorite. It was my favorite as well, just as far as
don't tell the internet.
Interest. Hey, the internet can do what I want it to. Here you go. You see how I saved that? No, I liked it a lot. I like this one a lot for the reasons we'll get to later. Not so much plot, but more like philosophy. Because there's some deep sort of stuff in this one that I want to get into as far as implications and more so. But anyway, sorry, Michael. Please.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, it's cool. So they had this really interesting conversation about how it's sort of illegal to be training kids outside of the Jedi. They sort of ask for permission to take the kids, but then they say they're not going to take the kids. They ask the kids if they want to come, and then they kind of say that they do, and they kind of imply they don't have a choice. They ask the moms, and the moms are like, nah, get out of my house. But somehow all of this whole conversation results in them leaving and saying, all right, fine, you can test the kids and see if they have the Force, or whatever. They didn't really say what the test is going to be. So they leave, and then the mothers kind of go back and convene. And I actually did think that their solution to this was actually very good. They're like, how do we get them to not take our kids without being violent? Because they seem pretty set, and like, yeah, they really do. Oh, I missed the part where they like did something weird to Torben and his eyes turned black, and that's kind of
that was cool,
had like
wasn't
a
it?
stalemate. Yeah, that was weird.
It's
and
like, don't
Soul,
mess with me, I'll ruin your
Soul
teenager.
immediately jumps for his lightsaber. He's like holding his lightsaber out like he's gonna like what? I'm telling you, Soul is sus.
Just like Yord.
Just like Yord did. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so they all agree they're gonna test the kids. And then the moms and the witches all come with this plan, like, okay, so what if the kids just fail the test? Now, if there was a blood test involved, I don't know how that they failed that test, and they didn't know that, but there was clearly a blood test involved, so that's kind of important later. So then Osha and May kind of have their chat again, and Osha says she's not going to fail the test, or she kind of doesn't really indicate one way or the other. And then she kind of agrees that she will, and May says that she's going to fail a test. Whatever is happening, it's kind of a weird conversation because they clearly indicate that Osha knows who the Jedi are, even though they haven't been anywhere. Like, there's a lot of awareness of, oh yeah, the Jedi. I'm really interested in these Jedi and learning more about the Jedi. And I think some of us are like, where did you learn about the Jedi?
Angelica?
What?
I just called you Andrelica. I tried to make your name long because I'm funny. That was a
Me?
joke, but it's okay. Yeah. No, please continue.
Don't call me that.
They're not all winners, guys. You know, 1 out of every 7. We're out here trying. All right, make your own jokes. Damn it.
I was gonna tell Michael that I caught on to that too, and I had questions because skipping a little bit, Osha has a journal where she's drawn like the Jedi symbol, and I'm like, did she conjure that from her brain in some sort of like Jedi way, or has she seen it?
We don't actually see what she's drawing until after she went to the test. So assuming it's not bad writing, like half the internet is claiming that actually watched the episode and they're like, bad writing, how does she know about the Jedi and all these things? Assuming that can't be explained, my guess was just that she drew it immediately after going to the ship and saw the symbol on the wall and was like super hyped about it and was like, oh my gosh, they're so cool.
Like we don't know. I was Andy, I was talking with you about it, and I was just like, there's a lot of ways she could have seen it, very conceivably, and there's also a lot of ways she could have not. She could have had a vision about it. She could have seen it on Galaxy News Radio or whatever,
Yeah, like the
maybe they are like, maybe they're like clones of a Jedi, and so they have some sort of weird Jedi stuff. I don't know. We can hypothesize about this later, but we're almost done.
UPS man, you're exactly right. The midichlorian count's got to be off the charts.
Assuming they're really good at
Anakin level. You see, when they were talking about no father, did you see Soul, like his face said basically holy S?
This is what I'm thinking, man. I thought about this too, but hang on. We'll come back to it.
Sorry, I know. Okay.
So May fails the test. Osha does not, because Soul is like weirdly obsessed with her and them, and like definitely like, no, we got to do this. So now they're mad at each other. They leave. Osha is talking about how she's like 100% willing to leave her whole family and life to go hang out with these Jedi she just met, so that's cool. And Mom is understandably upset, but decides, she tells her, destiny isn't decided by an amorphous force. She can choose what she wants, which is weird because that's not what she said earlier. That's my only so far major complaint with like inconsistent writing. I'm like, wait, is there destiny? Is there not? You just said the destiny is controlled by the force, and then you say you control your destiny. You're not teaching these kids very well.
Pause.
No, go for it.
No, so here's the thing. My take on that would be pulling the thread affects other people's destinies, and what you choose to do for yourself is totally up to you.
But she like says there is no destiny. Like, you don't have a destiny. You can do what you want. But then she's like, no, pulling on the force, using the force is altering destiny. Don't do that. It's weird. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I just didn't find that a very, like, her argument or her sort of stance on destiny didn't seem consistent. But maybe that's the point.
I don't know. I didn't see it as contradictory, but I'm here with you. It's all good. Rock and roll.
Well, the episode's called Destiny, so I would hope that it's important. But Anyway,
Could be
so this
important without being
child chooses on
contradictory.
her own, despite what her parents want, that she's gonna just leave them and go off on the galaxy. So she does. But then May shows up, and again, just goes like she's been a brat this whole time, but she literally locks her in, steals her notebook, sets it on fire, sets the whole castle on fire, and just goes completely berserk, emotionlessly
Yeah.
berserk.
Remind me
Just like,
about
I'm
that.
going to
Remind me.
kill
I got a
you.
note. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got notes.
I'm
But
going
yeah.
to kill you, and then just sets the whole thing on fire, which is interesting to see an oil lamp in Star Wars in the first place. But whatever, they have an oil lamp for the purpose of being able to set something on fire. We got it. So Osha figures out how to hack a door or something open, and she gets out. She runs into Soul. Well, the whole place is crumbling. Soul saves her.
This is a subtle nod to how she's going to grow up to be a mech neck.
Oh, right. So May says, like, in passing, that her mom's dead, that their mom's dead, but does not necessarily claim credit for killing mom. Just says their mother's dead. And then Soul tries to save him, and then May falls to her death, presumably. Not very convincingly, because everybody knows in Star Wars nobody dies from falling. It's just a rule. It's a 50-50 if you die from stabbing, but falling, never fatal. So then Soul saves Osha. They run out of the building. They pass a bunch of very not set on fire bodies, and then in a very sus way, he like does not let her look at the bodies, because who knows what they could look like and what kind of lightsaber wounds they might have. And then
or maybe
everybody's
they're in
dead.
a hurry because the building's on fire.
Right. Well, this is it could be interpreted a lot of ways.
I'm with Michael on this one. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Those
no.
I don't know.
It's a possibility, but I have another thought, so we'll come back to like what all actually happened. We got to address that. But anyway, the castle burns down. We kind of flash forward, and Osha's on the ship. They say they're taking her back to Coruscant. He said he's going to train her as his Padawan. Again, he's being like really creepily attached to this child. It's very strange.
Yeah.
He tells him there's nothing to go back for, and then we see back on Brendok. We see May actually survived, and she's back under this little tree where she was torturing the butterfly, because it's full circle all the way back.
See,
and that's it.
Okay, all right. So that's a good intro. So I can say this before I forget. I'm wondering if you remember how before I was talking about the Force Dyad thing and how May is appearing to Osha, but then May doesn't realize that Osha's alive. So how is that happening, right? And so that's the theory of like someone else controlling or manipulating the stuff. Did either of you read the Kylo Ren comic where you see a bit more about what happened when that Jedi Academy burned up?
No, but Reba did.
No sugar, really?
She loves
That's
the
a
Kylo
shock.
Ren comics.
Yeah,
no.
We'll tell her to get on the show.
Random thought: does Soul or any of the other Jedi ever even acknowledge May's existence?
Yeah,
like
they
do
say,
they ever
can
address
we
her
see your
directly?
sister?
Oh, I guess they train her or they test her.
They do the test.
They say the girl. Yeah, okay. Because I'm wondering if they're going to pull some sort of a thing where where they aren't actually two different people and they are actually one person, and it's sort of like her. No, she can't. They have to be two different people, or else somebody conjured her evil, twin and personified it, and they didn't. Anyway, there's a lot of different ways this could go.
Right. Agreed. But where I was going with this is, there being more going on than we're led to believe. So in at the Academy on Ossus with Kylo Ren, he does not start that fire. That is Sith lightning from Snoke / Palpatine that starts that fire, and everybody's just like, yo, why are you burning things? Right? That's the same sort of idea that could be happening here, where it's like, here's why I say that May not be in control of her actions is why would she go back to that tree expecting Osha to be there? She very clearly was.
I think she just was leaving.
I got it seemed to me like she was hoping to see Osha there, because didn't she say Osha at the end, or I can't remember. Maybe
I remember something like that.
Yeah, so I it seemed that that she and yes, you're exactly right, Travis. That's right. Palpatine caused the Force storm that destroyed the temple.
So I have
that was the idea, but anyway, go ahead.
I have 3 primary theories for what I think is happening here. The one I think I sort of hope is the most on the nose, and I hope isn't the case, is the Jedi showed up and they're ready to take Osha, and the witches said no, and things got out of hand, and they just accidentally killed all the witches. Meanwhile, Osha and May are doing their thing, and fire happens. I think that's the lightsaber wounds theory. Like, something happened, stuff got out of hand, and they died. More interesting would be, again, I'm really just looking forward to Soul being a bad guy.
You're,
I'm
you're
wondering
stumping
if,
for
like,
that so heavy.
I kind of do, because he's weirding me out. But anyway, so if they did the same thing, but instead of the Jedi fighting, he has like a dark side force tantrum kind of a thing. Like, he loses it and like shocks them all to death. And so the other Jedi don't necessarily have anything to do with it, but they are like covering for him, which is why he seems to be the only one that's like knows what's going on. Granted, I think there's two reasons why that's less likely. One, we see one of May's first lines is she talks about how Jedi do in fact draw their swords on unarmed people. So there's that. And then Torben has these like battle scars, which kind of indicates there was probably some sort of a fight or something that went on.
Well, and we see in one of the trailers Kelnaka jumping at Torben as well. So this is what
maybe
Travis
there was
says.
Some forced mind control going on too.
Yeah, so Travis in the chat says, in the comments, says that he thinks that someone could have used the black eye move on either Kelnaka, or I would say maybe Torben again. Who knows? I don't know why you would mind control a little baby when you could mind control a Wookiee. So that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would definitely be interesting for sure. And it also plays into my my whole stance about the Jedi being way too cavalier with mind tricks, and it's not so fun when it happens to you. This
is my third theory. Everything we saw in this episode was a fabrication, or most of what we saw in this episode was a fabrication. We heard a joke, or we heard a comment from May's associate when he gets captured by the Jedi, like, "Oh, don't mind control me, or don't wipe my memory," or something. I wonder if, again, stuff happened, something went out of hand, but what they did is they used the Force on May, or on Osha. I'm sorry, on Osha, and they rewrite her memory of what happened. So they like all together get together to change her memory so she doesn't remember the truth of what happened. And what we just saw is kind of all she remembers in all the reality, when there was actually a lot of other stuff going on.
I like it
but
a lot.
She just didn't.
I like
see
that.
it,
That's
so.
kind of sexy. I like that.
Because whatever they did has to be bad enough.
Okay.
They had to know whatever happened has to be bad enough that they know what they did was wrong. It was bad. They were covering it up and they regretted it, but they kind of kept going on with their life, right? So like I don't think it can just be like, oops, things got out of hand and we accidentally killed all the witches, but look, we have a new trainee. Like, I think there's more. Something dark happened.
And to your theory, and also to your theory about Soul, I do think that his last scene with Osha was super weird, and I hate when he says something like, "There's nothing for you back there. Just like put it out of your mind." And he said that to Osha again when she was older and she wanted to confront May. He's like, "That's grief. Like, leave it behind." And the Jedi do that all the time. I hate that. I hate it completely. But
we touched on this earlier too. We were talking about maybe the Chosen One and how this falls in. And this could be really interesting if I was talking about this as somebody else, like, oh, how long has the Chosen One prophecy been around? The one where we know Anakin is in fact the Chosen One. Lucas said so, and this all actually happened. But surely this isn't the first time somebody has found somebody or come up across somebody and said, maybe this is the Chosen One. And so, especially with what we know about the actor who played Soul and how he's interested in Qui-Gon, it could be really interesting that I don't know what's happening there. It could be really interesting to find out that he is sort of a Qui-Gon-esque person, but he does not do as well a balance as Qui-Gon does, and he loses touch and gets like way too obsessed with her being the Chosen One. Because clearly, Inara, the Matrix lady, she does not support this, and she's like, she should not become a Jedi. I don't think this is right. At some point, they mentioned that they thought that's why she was killed, was because she recommended against the council that she get she ascend to Jedi, or she passed her trials or whatever. So anyway, I think
I think that's very interesting, and I love the implication of the prophecy. One of my favorite tropes in sci-fi and fantasy generally is this sort of prophecies and whether or not they actually matter. Like, people always assume that because you're reading a story, it's sort of like a Chekhov's gun sort of thing, Chekhov's prophecy. Like, if you talk about it, it's got to be real. And it's like, it's kind of fun to imagine, like, no, that's just some stuff people made up. That's just something that people made up to, or you can misread prophecies as well, right? Like, either way, it not everything has to be about you. Not everyone is the chosen one type situation. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how that all plays out. Another thing I'm curious about, I'm sure a lot of people are saying bad writing or weird pacing or whatever, but I wonder if it's going to come back later as one of the layers to the onion. When they say, kids go to bed, when the Jedi first show up and they say they'll train them later, I believe this is when it happens. Either way, the mother, the segregate mother, walks in toward the room with the giant reactor or whatever, right? Like, they were talking about Jedi entering.
Yeah. They
She
showed
goes
it,
in
and
there.
they showed it kind of flickering and sparking.
Yeah, and then it just cuts to nothing. It
Yeah.
cuts to them in the room, in the prison. Or
So you think she sabotaged the whole thing, maybe?
Well, I don't know, but I'm like, that's weird that would be there, like, in the Cardi be like, that's suspicious.
It could just be an establishing shot, because we'd never seen that before, and just be like, oh yeah, there's a generator room in here.
That could totally
no, I'm
be,
with you.
But
I'm with you.
just like, that was interesting.
It could be a whole calamity of different things where the Zabrak mother went and set a trap to prevent the kids from getting taken. May did, in fact, start a fire, but it didn't necessarily burn the whole thing down. There was some sort of attack with the Jedi, and stuff got out of hand, but like, no one of those things was necessarily the cause. It could have just been all of those things. You never know.
It's 100%. I think of, again, and don't murder me here, internet, but I think of The Last Jedi, and I think of Luke, and how everybody's like, that's not like Luke to murder his son and all this stuff, or his nephew. And I'm like, guys, Luke always was hot. He was always like, I'm going to kill Darth Vader. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. He's like, I'm going to run away. I'm going to do this stuff. But then when the moment came, he would always realize that wasn't him. He would stop. He's like, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. He always made the right choice. But in this case, he told Ben, it was a moment of weakness, or sorry, when he told Rey, it was a moment of weakness, and Ben woke up before he had the chance to come to his realization. So he probably wouldn't have gone through with it, but he still did it, and it was done. It was already done. And that could very well be the type of thing that happens here, where, it's like, yeah, I probably wasn't going to do that, but it looks like I was, and now they're acting in kind, and it's the powder keg is lit, and we're off to the races, and Vader's castle is blowing up. You know what I mean? Your face says I'm wrong.
I hear you. I saw a hater.
Oh,
Facebook
not your face,
comment.
but okay.
Oh, I know you're talking about Michael's. Michael's got.
Go ahead. You can go. You can go ahead, Andy. We'll get back to Michael.
I saw a Facebook hater comment that was like, "Oh, they're making good evil and evil good," and I was like, "Isn't that interesting though? Isn't that like nuance to see both sides to these things that are so evenly split?" And I know that some people love that split and they want their squeaky clean Jedi, but
I watched the first 3 minutes of Shrek and then I stopped the movie. I don't want anything to happen. Go ahead.
What?
Like, before anything happens, like, I want just the tranquil intro when he's just hanging out in his swamp. That's all I watch. I just watch like a GIF.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
I'm sorry, Michael. What were you? You had a face on like you wanted to cook. Go ahead.
You were just talking about Luke and Last Jedi and how he was like really hot and was totally going to kill his father, but I don't seem to recall any time when he ever said he was going to kill Vader after he found out Vader was his father. Like, it broke him. He was, I'm going to be the hero, and I'm going to stop Vader because Vader's the bad guy. Vader is the henchman. He's killing all these people. And as soon as he realizes it's his father, it breaks him. And he talks about confronting Vader, but he repeatedly, it's not like he gets to the point where he's going to kill him and then stops. He repeatedly says, no, I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And he gets to a point where he's fighting him and he's hyped up on the emotion, but he's like, no, I'm not. I've already decided I'm not going to kill this guy. I'm not going to kill him. I'm just, he's amped up on the combat when he's trying to defend himself, but he decides, he gives up his lightsaber. He surrenders to try to turn him without a fight initially. So this is a different debate about Luke and his whether or not what he
let's
did was
take just a
realistic.
minute, because for once I'm shocked and surprised that I'm actually getting backed up in the comments instead of the other way around. But my new best friend Travis comes off the ropes and says, from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, Luke's main weakness is his anger when his loved ones are threatened. Like even Vader saying, like, you know, my sister, right? Like your sister. And then Luke just comes out of his hiding place and tries to actually kill him. If you recall, he was beating the shit out of Vader and cuts his arm off. And said Kylo seeing him in that moment of weakness is like someone losing weight only to be called fat. That's fair and relatable. But
yeah,
no,
sidetrack conversation. We should.
It is. But I just know. I'm sorry. I saw a very lengthy post that said something similar. And you know, and I've been, as we all know, I've been on this soapbox for a while, right? Like it was the genesis of the first
Edge shoehorning The Last Jedi into another Star Wars conversation. What? Right?
I know. So it was very exciting to see someone so eloquently point out things I haven't said. Anyway, moving on. You know, I very much think that you're exactly right, Michael. This is very likely to be one of those scenarios where no one single-handedly, for lack of a better term, started the fire, right? It's like a comedy of errors in that just like things escalated, little things escalated, and you have sort of like a World War I scenario where like some dude gets shot in Bosnia, and before you know it, we're bombing people in England. Like, you know, that's just probably how it ended up happening. Anyone have anything else you want to say about that, or do we want to move on to other
really dramatic parallel?
I'm just saying that's how it happened. People were like fighting in India, and it was like the Turks in the Ottoman Empire.
It's like every escalation of someone throws a rock, and then the police pull the trigger. Like that's
yeah. Someone sells a freestanding cigarette, and the police pull the trigger. Someone basically it always ends up with the police pulling the trigger.
Someone gets lost, and then they bomb the entire village. Jeez, all right. Well, there's the parallel. That's fine. That's fine.
It'd be like that sometimes.
So we should probably, we're kind of going at this backwards, but we might want to go back and talk about this whole Jedi abducting children thing.
Travis, we got to get you on the Discord, man. DM me at Real Eddie G. We got to get you on there. You got the golden ticket, brother. You're welcome to hang out with us. All right, continue.
VIP passes.
Yeah, exactly. All you have to do is agree with me, and you know it's all good. At Real Eddie _G, DM me. We'll get you on the Discord. Fair enough. All right, please continue, Michael. I'm sorry.
Is it not in the description of the YouTube videos?
It was. I don't. I'm gonna do that while you're talking. So keep talking.
Slacking over here. No. Okay. So we already know. We've already discussed many times, and they sort of always dance around the whole idea of how the Jedi become Jedi, and clearly at some point they sense, or it is known, or they find out about children that are Force sensitive, and then they go to these planets and somehow come back with the children sans family. Weird. The latest Star Wars book, The Living Force, the main villain is primarily motivated by this exact same thing, a situation where people or children or friends at a time were taken to become Jedi and others were left behind, and how that made them feel, and what state it left their family in, and the shambles and things like that. So it's not a new thing to talk about. It is sort of an interesting parallel, though, when I was thinking about this compared to something like Harry Potter. The idea that there's a rule against, like a galactic rule, or even maybe not even a galactic rule. Maybe this is a Ministry of Magic rule. This is a Jedi Council rule outside of the Republic that, hey, you can have your kids and you don't have to train them to become Jedi, even though the Jedi at this point in history are well beloved, looked up to. It's pretty well considered like, hey, if they become Jedi, they're going to have the best life they can possibly have. Adventures. They'll be literal superheroes. Like, bring them to superhero school so they can become superheroes. It's still fair or interesting to note that there would be some sort of rule against, okay, well, if you don't let your kids come to superhero school, but they have superhero powers, they're not allowed to use them. In the same way, Harry Potter has rules against underage kids using magic without going through the proper training. It's an interesting concept because I don't think that's ever once been mentioned in Star Wars before, that there was some sort of galactic kibosh on training younglings to use the Force outside of the Jedi. And obviously it's a self-serving rule for the Jedi, but we would like to think that their self-serving rule is for the better good. So we don't want little dark Jedi or, Sith cropping up everywhere, or acolytes, as it were, learning how to use the Force for the dark side, or not for their vetted use of the Force for the good. And so it's an interesting thought.
You gotta wonder when that would have come in place, because clearly it wasn't in place in the High Republic, because of all of the different schools of the Force and things like
I
that.
thought about that. I don't know if that's true though, because we never see any of them using the Force. We know that they appreciate, they meditate, they theorize, they have a lot of philosophical and religious aspects with the Force, but none of them straight up use it.
You're not wrong. That's. I think you're right. I'm trying to think of a different.
There's
I think you
also
might be.
a delineation typically between the magic that like the Night Sisters use and the Force itself, that like clearly there is a connection between magic and the Force, but there is something different about this dark side magic. It looks different, it has different powers and functions and capabilities. It's not the same Ashla and the Bogan and the Bendu.
Right.
Like it's not the same as this Force that as the Jedi know it, or as many parts of the galaxy know it.
But it is though, right? Like it's
Right.
kind of like the same. Yeah, it's one of
But
those.
we don't
where
see the Jedi just going and occupying Dathomir, clearly knowing that there are witches on Dathomir and that they are training children to use the Force.
Right.
So they clearly don't care as much about that as they did about this in this situation. Or maybe they changed the rules, like you said. Maybe it wasn't a rule.
That's what I'm saying. Like
maybe they had it now and they realized that's a bad idea. But you got to think, if there's 1,000 Jedi, 10,000 Jedi, sorry, at their height, and the galaxy is as big as it is, it's really rare, really, really rare for somebody to have Jedi Force abilities, despite what we might think, having seen the show. It's like my constant thing about how many Jedi survive Order 66, every single one we see. But like, how many Jedi are there? We see every show's about Jedi, but in reality, there are very, very, very few Jedi out there. It's just how it is.
Can we just appreciate how you?
I still think there's too many Jedi.
I love it.
I
love it. I love it.
Not much
of
a purge, man.
No,
we got like 1% survival rate. That's not very good.
It's just great. It's great. I
All
love
the
it
main
so much.
characters.
But anyway, no, look, you're exactly right, and that was the biggest, I guess, like I don't know, truth bomb or bomb dropper, like oh shit moment for me watching this, because one of the things I try really hard to do is I strive as hard as I can for, if not objectivity, then self-awareness, right? And like never taking something as just good on its face, and always trying to think through the implications of any sort of rule or status quo. And I'm always so disappointed in myself when I don't think through all the implications, or I take something as good just because I want it to be good, right? Like this is why I'm calling out the Jedi for using mind control, even though it's super great when Obi-Wan's like, these aren't the droids you're looking for, right? That's not a good thing. You can make an argument that he had to do it and it's a lesser evil, and that's fair, but you can't just walk around being like, oh yeah, we're good, we dominate people's minds, but so in this case, I was very disappointed in myself to be like, there are plenty of times that we see the Jedi take children, right? And there are plenty of times that people joke about the Jedi taking children. But most of the times we've seen it, it's in the context of excited and consenting parents, right? They're very much like, this is the greatest thing for my kid. Please get, like Andy, when I was talking with you about this, you mentioned Shmi. Yeah, like Shmi is very much like, get him out of this slave's life. Whatever is going to be better than this, right? And so that makes sense. Those are largely net positive, good actions. But I was so pissed at myself that I never stopped to think, like, I bet institutionally there are a lot more like this. Like, you have a 2 or 3 year old kid, you're not going to want some clown in a a robe to show up and take them. Like, it doesn't matter if they're part of the elite or whatever. Andy, go ahead.
Me?
You look like you wanted to say something. I'm sorry. Or no, Michael too. I thought you
Oh,
both wanted to say something. I was gonna go one
I,
at a
I
time.
was I was being patient. I was hearing you out. But yeah, like if my 3-year-old started like moving shit with his mind, I'd kind of be like, stop that. I love you. I don't want you to be gone from my life forever. So yeah, for sure.
I was going to say too. I wonder if in the Children of the Force episode of the Clone Wars, we encounter Cad Bane gets from a holocron. Children that the Jedi know are Force sensitive, but when he goes to approach them and take the children, obviously the moms fight back and they're like, no, don't take my kids, and then he has to like straight up abduct them. I wonder if those aren't situations that holocron was not a list of families that had chosen not to give up their kids. And so they kept it on hand to like, hey, monitor these kids, make sure, we've I think they've established in Star Wars, like once you stop training with the Force, it does sort of go away eventually. That's why they want to bring them in when they're young, because if they become adults and they're not trained, it just kind of fizzles out.
Yeah, like the
Um,
Skywalkers in the Chiss Ascendancy, right? Yeah.
yeah, like they expect that to happen if it's not trained correctly. But in this case, I wonder if that's why they had a list of these kids who were not then picked up, because it's not like they're too young. They bring in infants. Um, so I wonder if that's what that was. Is that it does
Ugh.
happen? I would assume it does. That means the Jedi are like, okay, you can keep them, but we're keeping an eye on you. Don't train them to
Well,
use
That
that
like
Force.
makes me sick, dude. Ugh,
like
I hate that.
it's one of those that holocron, if that is the case, that makes it so that that might be something that comes out as a result of what happens in this show. We'll have to see. Maybe they had an institution and they changed it like that. Like now you can have the option to keep your children, but they can't use the Force. Like that's still illegal. And again, there's implications
I
there
didn't get
too,
the
right? Like
impression. That's the thing, is I didn't get the impression it was not an option, and they kept saying that. The weird thing was that they said, "Oh no, it's only with your permission and only if you want to," and blah blah blah. But they also seemed weirdly obsessed at this point, and I think that's where the prophecy comes in, because if they, as soon as the more they heard, the more they realized there's no parents, the more they're like, okay, we really can't let them say no this time. Like we actually need to not. We need to take these kids. These kids have to come back. It's super important. And
well,
it
so
gets out of
that's
hand.
a twofold
Yeah,
issue. And again, I double back to how frustrated I was at myself, because there's one way of there's like a rose tinted glasses way of reading the law, and then there's another way of like, how is this actually materially going to be implemented, right?
yeah.
And I was like, I was very annoyed at
How are they
myself for
incentivizing
not.
this?
Yeah, like you're clearly incentivized to be like, I'm sorry, you violated the law. One less child for you. They're going
Well,
away now, you know?
or they're like used car salesmen going around saying, "Hey, give us your children, and they could be all of these things. They're gonna have this great, wonderful life and all this stuff. Wouldn't you want that to happen? Yes, send us your children." Like it's kind of creepy when you put it that way.
Celibacy and
Yes.
emotional repression. Step right
Yeah.
up. Sign
But you know
here.
what? You know what though? Again, it's refreshing to see this show the Jedi as revered, because we don't really get
Yes.
to see that. By the time we see them in episode 1, they're really considered part of the political problem, and they're part of the bureaucratic corruption, and they're or at best they're do nothing, and they're so obsessed with balance and non-intervention that they're just useless. At this
Yep.
time they are involved in things, and they are like
100%.
you're the Jedi Marshal of this planet, and your job is to protect everybody on this planet. And so people really do like the Jedi. And like I said, they're the best equivalent I could come up with is like they're like the Superman, they're the Batman, they're the actually revered superheroes of their time, because there's so few of them, but their powers are just completely unchallenged.
Yeah.
Well, except for 100 years before
Well,
this, when there was the Nameless and all that. But whatever, you don't think about that.
but again,
Clearly,
like
they
that was
won.
probably
So spoilers, we don't know yet, but clearly they beat the Nameless at some point.
right. Unless the nameless are going to show up later.
Maybe.
That would be
Is
no, I
Yoda
doubt it.
still on sabbatical, by the way? Is that why
He's
we
it's
won't see him in the show?
a fresh
It's a fresh
sabbatical.
sabbatical. He gets one every 100 years or so.
Yes, I was gonna say, yeah, every decade he takes a decade off. Um, all right. Andy, I want to bring you back in. Do you have anything you want to say about both of us just jawing for 5 minutes there, or anything else you want to take the conversation in a different area you found interesting? The floor is yours.
don't think so. I think it was like you guys said, just really harrowing to sort of see this in a different light of like the pressure and the like we have the right to train Padawans with your permission.
They
Like we did
also
ask for your
lied.
permission and you said no. Like it was really icky, but cool to see. I don't say icky as in like I didn't like it, icky, but like
Right.
it was cool to see happen.
They
Yeah.
also
Makes you
lied
not
because
feel
they
good.
said that, like, oh, we're sorry. We thought this planet was uninhabited while we're actively
Yeah.
slicing into your clearly occupied fortress that you can see from orbit. And I thought the
Yeah.
response was really clever. She was like, "Oh, I didn't I didn't put it past the all-seeing Jedi to miss something so
Yeah.
obvious."
Right. Yeah. It was. She was great. Mother Anastasia was awesome. Like people have had things to say about witches, and again, I use people very loosely. No, some of the dregs of
What?
the internet have had some less than savory things to say. Again, look, obligatory caveat: if you don't like this show, that's fine. That's totally fine. But again, if you don't like this show because there's too many black women in it, there's the door, and I hope it leads to the sun. But anyway, I really enjoyed Mother Anastasia. I thought the performance was amazing, and just thoroughly enjoyed the Coven in general. Um, Also, as a little cameo, one of the ensigns was Abigail Thorne, Philosophy Tube on
Yes.
YouTube. 10 out of 10, lots of
So
fun.
cool.
Yeah, that was great. Um, but yeah, no, it was great. I really enjoyed that whole aspect, and all the actors, the child actors as well. I can't remember their names, but young May and young Osha, just I thought they did a great job. It was stellar. And Travis, you're exactly right. You put in the chat, the best scene was Mother Anastasia saying goodbye to Osha. Like
The acting was
the
was
the
fantastic.
subtleties, yeah, but like her performance and the subtlety of Soul's performance as well. Like, just there are so many things that all these folks are saying with their faces, and it's just so awesome. Like the nonverbals
Yeah.
and everything. I'm really really digging it. That was great. Yeah, and you said talk about her being a villain. Like I'm very interested to see how this unfolds, because like clearly she's got power and is not afraid to use it. Like she just dominated Torben's mind. It was like, settle down, or your teenager goes bye bye. But she also comes off as very relatable, and it's interesting because, like Michael, you point out so often that Soul is scary and or dubious at least. And I can't argue with you. I can't argue with you one bit. So
Bye,
yeah,
Travis.
man, it's great having you around. Help me defend the Last Jedi anytime. You're welcome. It's lonely over here. Appreciate you, brother. All right, have a good one. But yeah, I really really like this Coven, and I'm interested to see what kind of transpired from the other side, because very clearly there's a lot we're still missing. Like it was not satisfying at all. Um, I wonder if that's why people think it's bad writing, because they don't realize that there's going to be more. Do you think that's the case, or how do
I've gotten that vibe from some comments.
Michael?
I
You're
think you're
muted.
muted, Michael. Oh, he's going in.
Yeah, he's going in, but he's still muted.
I had the same thought. Are you saying that people are judging it because they don't have brains? Is that what you're trying to say?
What? No,
No.
no. No, I look again. It's fun to dunk on certain things. There's a lot of content that might not land with people. I get that. Um, I do wonder sometimes. Like I always say, we got to finish it. We got to see where it goes, right? Like Kenobi. I was like, hey, let's
Yeah,
see where this thing goes, and it didn't go anywhere that I really really liked. And so I was like, this is all right,
it pulled it out at the end, but if it weren't for that fight, if it weren't for that Obi-Wan
The fight was
and
good.
Vader fight, I think that whole show would have been
And
bad.
you've said this before, Michael, so many times, and it's just like the truest thing you've ever said. why don't they use more John Williams? Like, I just don't get it. Like, this music sounds a lot more John Williams than most. I've really enjoyed this music, but like, someone edited together. Oh, that's what it was. I watched this YouTube supercut of like all the Order 66 scenes. I think I put it in the Discord, and like, I've watched them in all these shows, and I've been like, oh yeah, Order 66, you know. But man, you put that episode 3 music behind it, and all these other scenes that didn't quite hit the same. I'm just like, I'm knocked out. I'm rocked. And it's
the same thing with Rise of Skywalker. We got faked out in the trailers with Duel of the Fates a couple times, and if you actually had Duel of the Fates in there, like, our enjoyment of that movie goes up substantial bars.
100%,
which is really sad because John Williams' music can cover over a lot.
Yeah, we've seen Attack of the Clones, so we know. 100%. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what else do we need to? What other points do we need to dive into here?
So, working backwards through the synopsis as we have been, the only other thing that we have yet to really flesh out here is the whole Immaculate Conception thing, and what our thoughts are there, other than just like, okay, obvious prophecy vibes. But this is much more interesting because we see direct intent. There's been a lot of conversation. Old canon, you know, Anakin was created sort of unintentionally by Plagueis, or he was intentionally but unknowingly by Plagueis. He was trying to create life, but he didn't do it where he thought he was doing it, and it happened sort of weirdly.
Right.
New canon, there's implications that Vader thinks that Palpatine had something to do with his birth, but there's not much more than that. We don't know.
Way less substantive, and people acting like that is just gospel. It's like, it pisses me off.
No. It's
so
apparently
much.
The author himself of that Vader comic has come out and said, like, no, this wasn't meant to be definitive. This was Vader's nightmare. So like, you can't take that as actually truth. But anyway, so we don't know, because we know that Mother Anastasia claims that she did this on purpose, that they are her kids. But why she volunteered somebody else to carry the babies, I don't know. It's like rude. Like, you look like you could carry some twins. Let me tell you. No, not me. I have
you got them barbers and hips.
You got hips. I think you can handle this. You're used to prickly babies. These ones soft and smooth. Like, we got.
I tell you what, slide right out like butter. You looking like you trying to be a segregate right over here. Come on now, Mama Curl. Come on over.
I'm so dead.
I
don't know why she sounds like Daryl from Tennessee, but that's how it goes.
But either way, right? There's some sort of difference here, and evil.
And why she's bad cop all the time? They don't even call her Mama. I'm like,
I know. Poor
you get to be called Mama when you give me spice treats or whatever.
That's what you get for being a segregate.
Give me them spice creams. Spice cream, you scream, we all scream for spice creams.
I was feeling very nosy with that family dynamic. I was like, what? How does that?
Well, they
happened?
said something about like
none of my questions were answered.
They said something about like we were persecuted for our magic and people didn't like us, and so we were gonna die out. But then we had a miracle happen. I was like, you are all women, so I'm not sure what your strategy was otherwise. But good for you. You got the miracle, so this is cool. But we definitely want some answers here. Like, please tell us more. Is this your standard procreation method for growing your coven, or is there a previous strategy that has since failed?
I told you, in utero vertification.
That's the agenda, honestly, that's
it is.
That's what they're pushing on us now.
Did you think that do you think they're working with the Sith? If you put stock in that the dark side creates vergences in the Force, I'm of the mind that these things can just happen. They're incredibly infrequent, but it's a vergence in the Force. She might have been conceived by the midichlorians. Like, these are lines that we've gotten.
Clearly,
that we're not like.
They won. Yeah, she wanted some babies. I can't stop talking like that now.
Dude, anytime we're talking about fertilization, that's the voice.
So
That's what it
so
is.
here's the thing. We know the Sith are out there, even though the Jedi don't. The Jedi think the Sith are extinct, but the Sith are out there. Plagueis, at this point, it's only 100 years before. He may either be the Sith or he may be a Padawan.
Mm-hmm.
If she and this random witches coven that's using some form of the Force has discovered or has a method, maybe it's an ancient method they've used before, maybe it literally is, this is just how they've grown their sect in the past and they've lost this art and she regained it or something, but maybe this is a thing they can do, and maybe he learns the art of creating life from her. Maybe this is how Plagueis figures it out and
Yeah, because
doesn't
look,
do it
like
very well, and that's how we end up with Anakin. So they're like proto Anakins, but they're not the chosen ones, but they are definitely like the predecessors, the forerunners.
He had to do it. He's the chosen one, you know? No, it's one of those where that has happened before, because you remember Sidious was talking to Mother Talzin quite a bit. You know, Sidious was trying to learn about, you know, the extension of life from her, and that's why she gave him Maul, if I'm remembering that right. Either way, they were in cahoots long ago. I can't remember the details on that. It's been a minute, but yeah, no, you're exactly right. I'm very intrigued by that whole thing as well, and very, very curious to see if there is any Sith involvement. People have always been taking, I think the new Rockstars guys had the idea that the Sith are, you know, in charge. They've sold their soul to the Sith, maybe. I don't know if I buy that. I think you're onto it more, Michael. I like
I think
that
that's
idea quite a
for the
bit.
showrunners' methodology and things too. I think it would be more likely that the Sith learned from them than that these witches are beholden to the Sith somehow. Like, it just seems kind of backwards for that. For them to like create their
Agreed.
own characters to be subservient to the overall Skywalker saga plot makes a lot less sense than that that plot is subservient to theirs. It just makes more sense.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. What do you think, Andy, since you're over there yawning and sleeping?
Stop! Stop! I'm tired. And I put in the live chat, I said, I don't know anything about Plagueis, not even how to spell it. Okay?
That's fair.
Listen,
I don't know how to spell it.
Wait, no.
I
Sorry.
don't know nothing about that.
That's funny. You guys are awesome. Yeah, Plagueis. Yeah, I don't know how to spell it either, though. I know that ain't it, but I don't know how to spell it. It's sort of like I can't remember. Never mind. I don't spell many words right. There's too many to choose from. Anyway, what do you think about this whole thing? You think they're naturally occurring abominations, or do you think they were? How do you think they were originated?
Naturally occurring abominations? Jeez. They're just kids, Ed.
Hey, yeah,
that is
all
not a nice way.
Yay ho is definitely something. All right, that's fair.
I'm just saying, you know, tyke it up. I'm sorry, never mind.
I don't have the answers. I don't even have predictions. I don't know.
All right. Well, you know, I'm over here like my internal clock is going off like, damn, me and Michael have been talking for too long. Better rope Andy back into this. And I'm like, Andy, what you got to say? Nope.
I don't know. I feel like such a worthless host right now because I don't know.
No. You give the joint atmosphere.
McNugget gave us a comment.
What?
Oh, McNugget makes a great point.
Yes.
Welcome,
okay.
McNugget. Read here. Let's add it.
I noticed that.
I forgot from the first second
Padawan.
episode.
Let me talk, Michael. I'm finally going to talk.
So sorry.
Let me have this thing. I noticed that Soul's Padawan was like, why isn't it in the file? And I was like, damn, Soul, why isn't it in the file? That was the one time I was on your team, Michael. That Soul is kind of weird. Why wouldn't you record everything?
Sussy
sus.
Boy.
You know, a t-shirt, Soul Sus. That probably...
No.
Solstice? No.
That's a bad shirt.
Soul Sus and
You're
Soul
a bad
Susser.
shirt.
So the Selassie.
The Solassi. No. We've
Celestian,
gone
maybe.
too far. We've strayed from the path of God, and now we must face his wrath.
Probably worth an on program.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hold on. Let's give it. Thank you. Thank you very much. And McNugget, want to welcome you to the stream. We're glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out.
Sorry.
We posted the link to the Discord in there earlier if you want to hang out with us more. But anyway, yeah, you're right. They did not record it. And again, it's something we've been talking about. There's clearly something rotten in Denmark, or Brendok, as we should have said.
It's
there's
probably
more
because
to
the
this.
Jedi wiped out the twins' parents. And they didn't want people to know that they also were responsible for the death of another child. They're like, weird, we
Absolutely.
found this completely unaccompanied virgins in the forest on the planet. There were no parents whatsoever, no family, no witches. Who said anything about witches? No. It was an empty, unoccupied planet with one child on there. And we rescued her from a fire. I mean, yeah, from the planet.
So crazy.
From the
It was
elements.
so crazy. I have no idea how it happened, but she is back with us on Coruscant, and we're having fun training child. I don't know what accent that was. It hit through 3 countries, but it was fun. We're having a good time. Osha's not having a good time. Osha's not having a good time at all. She was honestly,
Osha
man.
Even use the Force, honestly.
Oh, no,
maybe this is why she failed her.
She can hold the bird. She held the bird in the beginning. Remember?
And
the butterfly.
Butterfly bird. It looked like I don't know.
yeah, it wasn't a bird, buddy.
Hey.
They were penguins. Did you know? They were penguins. Puffins, man. Did you know?
She knew the pictures on the data pad.
Yeah, that's true. A speeder, a cup, a ship.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool. That was kind of galaxy brain. A soul to be like, yes, exactly, 100%.
I have used that on my kid, because my kid does this funny thing now where like he knows colors and shapes, but he thinks it's funny if he does it wrong and looks at my reaction. So he'll put the square puzzle piece on the circle, and I start going, yep, and he goes, no. And I'm
it's
like
that
thank you,
thing
Saul.
where your child is asleep in the car and you're gonna take him inside and they're pretending to be asleep and you're like, oh, you know how you tell if they're really asleep? If you hold their arms up and it stays up in the air. There's all these videos of people doing that, and the kids faking asleep hold their arms in there and they're like, oh yeah, they're asleep all right.
That is so cute.
Isn't it funny how dumb kids are?
Also, why do you think Indara wanted to stop Osha's training?
Oh, there's so many reasons why at this point. Like, maybe guilt over all the things that they did. Maybe she's just not very good at the Force.
I don't think she views children born as a result of invertical segregation as legitimate. That's what it was. She gets a dot on her eye for every kid she kicks out. No, I think you're right, Michael. There's a lot of different reasons why, and I genuinely think a lot of them have to do with the amount of trauma and pain that this kid has gone through. Clearly, that's could definitely be a pathway to the dark side. Yeah.
Like,
well, and again, if
his mom, and Yoda's
100%.
like, stop. Have you tried stopping?
Have you tried
getting the F over it? Yeah. Hakuna Matata, bro.
It literally doesn't matter at all.
Well, again, I'm wondering if they use the Force to wipe her memory or to alter her memory, and she had these like repressed memories coming up, she'd be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't let her become a fully fledged Jedi. This could turn out poorly for us.
Ask me if I miss my mom. Do it. No, I don't, because I'm not a little bitch. Michael's over here trying to make actual points, and I'm being dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But no, you're exactly right. She grows up. She has a few memories. She meditates. She finds herself in the Force, and the cover up is uncovered.
Because she saw the fire when she was a mechneck, and she like had that PTSD moment.
Oh.
Maybe that happened a little too many times with training when the
It's like
lightsabers come out and the zoom zoom, and she's like,
Mr.
"My
Tumnus
family."
with the flute.
Oh, dude. That was intense.
That song is good. That little flute
Mr.
ditty
Tumnus while
is
he's literally drugging a child. I'll
yeah,
take it right now.
100%. It's funny though, as much as I love to always invoke that beautiful disaster of a movie, I loved it and I love dunking on it so much. Narnia, it's such a fun rewatch.
What?
It's so much fun. Oh, the Narnia like
Stands
2005, it's awesome.
stands
I
up
love
pretty well.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's a
Don't take, but it's
disaster of a
like
movie.
it's campy. It's
Oh,
wildly campy and it's fun. But anyway,
I'm
I
very
was gonna
biased.
say it's funny because no, I'm with you that it's fun. I love it. I can't wait for the next one. Greta Gerwig is gonna kick that out the park. I'm very excited for that. But anyway, talking about framing again. Tell me that Soul talking to Osha does not very much mimic the White Witch talking to Edmund. Like it's very similar vibes of like,
Told
there
you
are
my man is
thousands of
sus.
children. I'm feeding you.
And
I'm letting you eat, because I think you might be onto something.
yeah, and I love like Soul's vibe, and I have from the beginning, but I would also love if he was the bad guy because it would be shocking, and I think
100%.
that would
It
be
won't be
enjoyable.
shocking because I have thus
I know,
predicted
I
it.
know. You'll be
But
like,
it's
I fucking knew,
consistent.
but
Like I love that. Like I always love when twists have been set up and if you didn't see it, it's your fault. Like I always poked at people for Game of Thrones, right? Like people always talk about, oh, Khaleesi just came out of nowhere, it's crazy. I'm like, dude, she's been murdering everyone from the start of this show. She's been brutally murdering everyone, and it's not my fault that you were just too wrapped up in the girl bossness of everything that to realize that it's a war crime. That's kind of what I've always said. And in this case, it would be exactly right. Because again, I talked about framing. I talked about earlier the Jedi regulation about taking kids. Like if you look at it from a different context and you suddenly see how messed
From
up it
my
is,
point of view, the Jedi are evil. No, sorry.
right. Well, again, even if
Oh.
that would be very, very interesting. It would be interesting in a few ways. It would be interesting if he was the Sith.
I
What'd he
agree.
say?
In the very first episode when Souls talk, like they have the commercial scene and they're like, "Oh, the Force is an ocean. The Force and the Force is a fire." Yeah, 911. Yes, it's a fire. Very good. Thank you, little. Out of here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, throw a favorite on that. Had a boy McNugget. I'm assuming you're you're awesome. That was great.
join the Discord, McNugget.
Yeah,
Hey,
100%. Join the Discord.
so
Links in the chat.
predictions moving forward, since we're pretty much done with the whole synopses thing. I'm still really hopeful that my random connections to the Shadow of the Sith book with the Exum Panchard and the mask and stuff, I'm still hoping all that comes up. There's still room for all that. It's clearly by episode 3, if it's not brought up at this point, I think it's probably less integral, but it would be interesting if it was sort of an aside. It could still be that helmet without it being major to the plot. It's just a Sith, but for those of us who know, oh, this is the helmet of Viceroy Exarchard. This is the sword of whatever. But the only credence I thus far have against that is that we've seen the dark side user's lightsaber, and it's not squiggly. So
it's a crescent, right? Isn't that what they said? No,
it's a sickle.
Yeah, sickle. Yeah, sorry, crescent. Yeah, you're right.
Like Morgan.
I guess, yeah, but like a solid lightsaber is what I think that's what they said.
So what I'm referring to is that there was an interview with Leslie Headland at one point, and they talk about, or she's talking about how there's a lightsaber in the show that is not the light whip that she really wanted to do. It's really interesting. It's different. It's unique. It's something we haven't seen before, and that the prop department was really mad about. They were like, no, please don't make us do this. And she's like, yes, I want this. And so that, along with the helmet, that we've seen in the trailer reminds me of, and the title Acolyte reminds me of this one book that was released. I don't remember. And was it before or after the Rise of Skywalker, or concurrent with it? But either way, it's a tie into the Rise of
Shadow
Skywalker.
of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was after. It was considerably after.
It explains Rey's parentage. It explains Lando's search for his daughter. There's a lot of stuff in that book, honestly, but sort of the parallel plot is that this Sith helmet has possessed somebody from the Acolytes of the Beyond, and she wields this sickle lightsaber, ancient Sith lightsaber. Anyway, all this stuff sounds very similar. Oh, you missed that last time when
I
Travis
did.
played.
I should have done it. Travis, here's one for you.
You man on the floor!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're clowns. We have fun, you know? Oh, it's great. But no, you're exactly right, Michael. And I've been banging the drum for you that I seriously hope that would be a really cool connection. And it would be awesome to get to see. I mean, you know, sickle lightsaber would definitely ruffle some feathers, but maybe we'll get a light whip fighting a sickle lightsaber, and the internet will
That
just
sounds like
melt.
a tangled mess.
Oh my God!
I want a light lasso.
That sounds counterintuitive for how lassos work and what they do, because you're you just slice the head right off.
Is that here
I want a
bisecting
light-
cattle?
I want a light fishing rod.
Also seems counterintuitive, but you know what? With the current rate of lightsaber evolution, we're probably not far off.
A light hose.
How about light daggers? How about like a lightsaber dagger? How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy
lightsaber
did for
paring
cutting
knife.
bread, so why not? Well, not. I don't know if that
reminds me
is
of
for everybody or not, but
No, I got you. And I also remember Family Guy too, where they were like a lightsaber cheese knife. Remember that? Oh, classic.
I posted.
All
in the live
right.
chat.
I'll say again.
I posted in the live chat the lightsaber. Plug for the live chat too. We have a chat going on the whole time during the stream where we were just riffing on one another on top of what we're saying. So it's a very.
I think the live chat is just for moderators, though.
No. You made me change it so everybody can see it.
Oh, okay.
I think.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's cool. Then yeah, that was outdated info. Apologies. Well, hey, look, man, we got McNugget and Travis. Welcome to the crew. You know,
What a
it's,
treat.
That's fun.
McNuggets
It's a
are.
delight. God bless a McNugget. It's impossible how good McNuggets are. Can't wait for them to make impossible McNuggets. That would be great. Thank you, Michael. You're well ahead of me at hosting on the Discord. Well done. I was going to type something up, but you beat me to it. Welcome.
What
to
else
the
am I going to do
boys.
while you're yapping this whole time?
It's a podcast. What are we supposed to do?
Whose podcast is this anyway?
Supposed to yawn and take a nap like Andi? No.
Ooh, shots
Busted.
fired.
All right, let's wrap it up. Anybody got anything else they want to leave the people with before we come back for what I can only imagine will be another exciting, controversial episode? Because you remember Leslie Headland said that incendiary. Yeah, exactly. Leslie Headland said that episode 5 is the one that's going to leave everybody talking, leave everybody breathless.
I didn't know that.
Didn't she also say
said
this
that
is
in
like the
the round
gayest
table.
Star Wars? That really tweaked a lot of people.
Somebody said that to her, and
she was like,
she
"Yes, yes,
laughed.
Oh.
And then I guess she like kind of tacitly agreed because there's like a lot of, queer people involved in the show.
I mean, it's
but
silly
yeah,
though because
that
y'all
was
need to
enough.
read the High Republic.
No, like that's what's so annoying is like, well, they do. Some of those people know not to read the High Republic because there's, but the other thing that's gone around, and I want to take a second to call this out, is the whole anti-white bias because Amanda Stenberg, they found this clip of Amanda Stenberg on The Daily Show hosted by Trevor Noah, which hasn't happened in years, talking about The Hate You Give, which is a movie about systemic racism and police brutality. And it was like the goal of the movie was to make white people cry, which is like a joke about how Oscar bait movies, and like that's what these movies exist for. You know, they talk about 12 Years a Slave and, you know, like all this sort of black pain that goes on into these movies, and it's always said that it's to make white people cry, right? And so it's, you know, kind of tongue in cheek, right? And they're laughing about it because they get the joke. So we clip that out of context and we say that the point of this show is to make white people cry and ruin Star Wars. And it's like, honestly, how stupid are we? Like, legitimately, how stupid are we? Like, if nothing else, think about capitalism. Think about Disney not wanting to, like, I mean, it's like, we want to destroy this so you can't have fun, you 50-year-old pissed off guy. Like, what? I don't understand. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, but it doesn't have to, because you've already got 3 other people mauling over it in your comments, and you're just having a great time. But I always go back to what I've always said. It's just like, if you're not having fun, man, then do something else. Like, the originals that you love are on VHS. You can keep watching those and keep missing the point. It's great. No one's stopping you. Yeah, that whole controversy blew my mind, man.
Yeah, the media literacy is so low.
I had a friend
We have a
post
whole
it.
section.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we have a whole section in the Discord where we post the hilarious clickbait, poor headlines of various articles that just like completely miss the point without even having. And some of us read the articles and we're like, this is even worse than the headline makes it seem, because some people are intentionally ignorant and they clearly know what they're talking about and they're misleading. And other people, you're like, do you even watch Star Wars? Like, what are you saying?
Bingo. And look, this is not any kind of broader critique. Like, you don't have to be some soy-pilled woke goofball to, you know, to be on my good side. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not calling out anybody that's ever had a halfway conservative or traditionalist thought. I'm talking about this type of brain rot that we all can identify, and that's why we have that hashtag scum and villainy portion. I mean, there's a person that posted this on my Instagram. It came up, and you know, they posted it on there, and they're like, see, how do you not understand? And I was like, okay, I let a lot of things go, but you're a friend of mine, I'm gonna dive in. You're talking about Star Wars, this is my arena, you know. So I jumped in and I just said, hey, this is a clip from 2018. This is out of context. They're lying to you. Move on, you know. And dude came back with like 7 paragraphs of just the most incoherent stuff, and I was just like, all right, go on, go off, Patriot. You know, kill it. But yeah, no, I love this community, man. I love what we got here. I love everybody getting to hang out, and at the end of the day, it's all about just enjoying this. And the minute any of us stop enjoying it, there's no shame in that. There's a gentleman on the Discord, good friend of mine, Sebastian. He's saying this show isn't clicking with him, right? He's not enjoying it. That's fine, brother. If you don't like it, like I want Star Wars to have a lot of different examples. I want it to be a lot of different things. It's not going to land with everybody. The day they make the rated M, you know, dark Star Wars Sith story that I want, I know we're going to lose Michael on that one. I know that, and I would hope that Michael's not mad that I'm enjoying Game of Thrones Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, we're all here to enjoy what you want. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's like what I said to you, that I can think of my least favorite Star Wars content, and I think of how many times I give people crap for liking that thing, and it's 0 times. I just don't spend my time doing that.
100%.
Nor should
I don't
anybody.
know.
Exactly.
No,
Like
it just,
criticism is fine, but if it becomes a thing where you know, it crosses that point where you hate it so much more than you ever liked it, it's like, just see yourself out. I mean, I will always say I'm that way with Jurassic Park. Like, I love Jurassic Park. The new ones, it just, they don't land for me, man. I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoy this.
I don't see how you wouldn't like it.
No, like I want them. I want them to have fun. You know what I mean? But again, so I'm just trying to say that for for consistency's sake, because I'm trying to practice what I preach, and Marvel's the same way. I haven't been into Marvel for a little while. Andy says I need to watch Moon Knight, but I haven't gotten around to it. I might pop back in if they do another Spider-Man because I'm a slut for Spidey. But other than that, or if they bring RDJ back, that's another one that could get me just because the Memba
It is
berry
Disney,
would be
and
juicy.
no one's ever really gone.
No one. Especially not cash cows.
I was going to say, I don't know. RDJ cost them the most money out of anybody, though. So maybe he has really gone there like, you're eating into this, our paychecks here, man, in a substantial way.
100%. This was a lot of fun, guys. This was a real good one. We got a lot of discussions, got a lot of good things off of our collective chests, and
Made new friends.
New friends, indeed. Welcome. One more for the road,
Your man on the floor!
Woohoo! All right. Well, thanks a bunch, everybody, and we will see you next week. And I'm going to hit the right outro button this time. You watch. It's like I know how to do this.
First try.
Hey, thanks for hanging out. Like I said, smash the like button. Leave another comment. Join the Discord. Other things. No, look, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week. This is On Program.
On program.